Welcome to the latest in Zelda music and fan theories. You're listening to Hyrule Academy, live on Radio Hyrule.
To Hyrule Academy. I'm MC Gamer, and I am your professor and teacher here at the Academy. This is a wonderful little show we do every Friday evening over on Radio Hyrule. We talk all about Zelda lore and fan theories. And of course, we listen to some amazing music. For example, starting off tonight's show, we heard the Ghirahim rock remix from Shady Cicada. This is one Shady Cicada giving us the music tonight. I didn't even know cicadas made music, to be brutally honest with you all. But regardless, a nice little introduction into a wonderful show, to be sure. I'm really pleased to see we have a huge audience with us this evening. Everybody's probably really excited for our discussions this evening. And I know that you all have been enjoying my new show, Zelda Weekly, over on YouTube. And so I'm sure some of you are coming in from that. So welcome. Welcome to the family. We have a fun time here every Friday evening, and it's going to be good. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. And so if you don't know how this works, we're going to start off tonight's show. I'm going to introduce you to a topic about inside the Legend of Zelda lore. And then we're going to listen to some music while you guys, everybody who's watching the show, can come up with some theories and answers to some of the questions I have for you. And then throughout the show, I'll give you guys a little bit more info and some of my own personal theories, and then we'll finish off the show by reviewing what you guys have been talking about and sharing them live on air. But to get started, I'm going to fill you in. We're talking tonight about Ghirahim. Now, Ghirahim is a demon lord. I'm sorry. I should indulge him with his full title. Lord Ghirahim. He's a demon lord, and he's also a sword spirit, and he is found in Skyward Sword, and he serves Demise, the demon king. You know, he's a demon lord, fine, that's cool, but he serves the demon king, Demise. And so this is a sword spirit. In case you don't know what a sword spirit is, we've seen two sword spirits inside the entire Legend of Zelda history. We see Ghirahim and we see Fi. Both seem to be some sort of spirit or residual consciousness that resides within a sword. And we see Ghirahim in this story, and he's very theatrical. He's very confident in himself and flamboyant. He's very and oohs, and he's known for taunting Link pretty much the entire game. And he gets very upset when Link shows him up, because Link seems to do that a lot. So Link shows him up, and then Ghirahim's like, "This won't happen again, boy," and then he poofs on out of there. He doesn't like being defeated, but it turns out he gets defeated a lot as he chases Zelda all about the land. He's chasing Zelda from A to B to left to right to up to down, and he finally catches up to them at the Temple of Time, where Zelda and Impa are trying to escape into the past. But they're still able to escape into the past. Mostly because Link comes in at the last moment and is able to assist Impa and protect Zelda as she goes and hides in the past. Ghirahim still wants to get to Zelda. Why? We'll find out soon. But he seeks a new Gate of Time and only finds one after Link makes a wish to defeat Demise. So Demise is killed inside the present and everybody's happy. Ghirahim's not happy though, because he goes into the past, captures Zelda, and revives Demise in the past. Because while we killed Demise in the future, in the past he's still quite alive. So Demise is alive. Whoops, I guess the Triforce wish didn't really matter that much. And in the end, Ghirahim is defeated by Link. Link is like, "Okay, sword guy, that's enough of you. Okay, stop it. Stop reviving evil demon kings. I'm sick and tired of it, to be honest with you." And he takes his true form after this all and becomes a sword. A evil sword, looks very similar to the Master Sword. So it's like, dark evil Master Sword. And to help Demise. So Ghirahim becomes a sword, helps Demise out. Although Demise gets his butt kicked, and that's no good for him. And at the very last moment, Ghirahim disappears. Demise looks to his sword, and then poof! Once again, Ghirahim is just out of there. And that's the last we see of him. So, some questions for you guys. How and why does Ghirahim differ from Fi? So Fi, of course, is the sword spirit that resides within Link's sword. And she talks very robotic. She does some dances, and she kind of is robotic, to say the least. She very much is not very personable. How is this different than Ghirahim? And also, what truly happens to Ghirahim at the end of the game? Is he just dead? Is he defeated so much that he's gone? Did he escape? Does he have future plans? What's going on with Ghirahim at the end of the game? You can discuss these questions or ask your own over at radiohyrule.com/chatroom, and I will, of course, be reading those discussions later on inside the show. But for right now, good music is afoot, everybody. I got some great tunes for you. We're going to start out nice and light, get into some Smash Brothers music, and then we're going to get really chiptune-y with some Hylian Lemon, Essence of Lime stuff. You know what I'm talking about. But for right now, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks, for as always, for tuning in to Hyrule Academy right here on Radio Hyrule. Hello, everybody, and welcome on back to more Hyrule Academy right here on Radio Hyrule. So our discussions have been going great so far this evening about Ghirahim. Lots of things to talk about tonight. We're going to have a really large community discussion section of the show later on. But for right now, let's cover, first of all, what music you've been listening to start off our little session of enjoyable, peaceful listening to music. We start off with Kakariko Village from the video game Pianist. He's a wonderful guy, and he's put up a lot of really new covers up on his channel. He seems to do them in waves. He used to do them daily, but now he's just like, all right, nothing for a week. Then bam! You have 10 new songs in your sub box, and you're like, all right, man, I can put these on and chill for a good half hour and just enjoy them. So thanks to him, as always, and an excellent, of course, playing of Kakariko Village, a very classic song from A Link to the Past. After that, we heard Ballad of the Goddess / Ghirahim's theme from Smash Bros. 3DS. And while the Battle of the Goddess is the big part of that song, I definitely wanted to play it because it does have Ghirahim's theme in it, and it's a really rock-filled, intense version of it. So I loved hearing that whenever I play Smash Bros. For 3DS. One of the definite reasons I go to the Zelda stages. After that, we heard Bound Across Time from Chicken Warlord and Hylian Lemon, and that is from, of course, the Essence of Lime album. It's an entire album of remixes from Oracle of Ages. And I thought that was really fitting because how there's a lot of time travel in Skyward Sword, so I was like, you know what, let's throw that in the mix because I love that song, so why not? Especially when it just goes straight into the Game Boy Color sounds of the warp, the bloop. That's not what it sounds like at all, MC. Regardless, let's move on into some discussions I wanted to bring to you guys. So I was thinking about Ghirahim this week because that's what I do in my free time, and I was like, all right, so Ghirahim is this guy that we see, and he has one purpose. His purpose is to bring back Demise. And I was trying to think, I was like, okay, let me just try to draw some comparisons between other similar characters. And a lot of people like to try to Ghirahim is like Zant or like Vaati, in that they serve Ganondorf in some way at some point in time, because Vaati does some stuff for Ganondorf in Four Swords Adventures. And of course, Zant serves Ganondorf in Twilight Princess. But I think they differ greatly because, as I've stated before on the show, Zant and Vaati are puppets. They are used, while Ghirahim and the other character I'm going to mention this evening are more of servants. They're not puppets. They're not like, oh, I'm going to get a piece of this power, man. Like Vaati thinks, all right, I'm going to be able to serve alongside Ganondorf. Zant thinks that he's given all the power, he's been chosen by a god, but in the end, they're both just puppets. They matter nothing. And while Ghirahim sometimes does appear to be nothing to Demise, especially at the end of the game, they're faithful servants. Ghirahim is a faithful servant rather than a puppet. And I think that's one big difference to draw between them. But who I wanted to bring up in this whole section is Aghanim. So Aghanim, or Aghanim, I believe it is. Aghanim is somebody you can draw a lot of conclusions and similarities between Aghanim and Ghirahim. Why? Listen to their freaking names. It's an obvious thing that they wanted to actually compare them to. It's very obvious that Nintendo was trying to get you to think Aghanim, Ghirahim. Has anybody ever drawn that conclusion before? Dang, I was just thinking this week. I was like, hot dang. I think I'm on a hot lead. I'm like a news reporter out on the field, and I hear that Brad Pitt is off with some person doing things. I don't follow real news, only for pretend news. So Aghanim his job is to bring back Ganon, and Ghirahim's job is to bring back Demise. And I think it's really cool that their job is kind of like they appear as the main villain. You're like, I gotta kill Aghanim. And then you're like, oh no, he serves somebody else. And you're like, I gotta kill Ghirahim. But no, he serves somebody else. It's something that I like to draw conclusions between. And I don't know if it'll help you with your discussions this week, but I thought of it and I was like, I have to share that with everybody. I hope you guys found it to be enlightening. We have some more music for you now. Continue to your discussions over at radiohyrule.com/chatroom. And of course, we're getting set for a really awesome discussion section. I can't talk. And I got some good music coming up for you. So stay tuned on in to Hyrule Academy, everybody. Please enjoy the music. Welcome on back, everybody, to Hyrule Academy. We've been listening to some super music, and I'm going to recap it real quick with you guys before we move on to discussions. So first up, you heard Behind Pillars of Marble by Chris Hunter, and that is from the Harmony of Heroes album. Wonderful album with tons of video game songs on it. It's like a Smash Brothers album. In other words, it has music from Smash Brothers, which is the entire Nintendo universe, so to speak. And then it has a lot of great Zelda songs on there as well. And I wanted to play Behind Pillars of Marble because we haven't heard it yet on the show. So I wanted to make sure you guys had a chance to take a listen in onto that. After that, we heard the Ghirahim theme on piano from Thomas Anderson. Thomas Anderson does a ton of piano covers over on his channel. Lots of Zelda there too, in case you're interested inside Zelda exclusively, but check out all of his works. That's Thomas Anderson. After that, we heard Battle Theme from Isaac Sella, and I gave him some shout-outs this week on Zelda Weekly. I actually showed off his Ghirahim theme that he put up this week, and I would play the Ghirahim theme on tonight's show, but it's a very chill song, and I didn't think it kind of fit into our set list, so I decided to go with his Battle Theme from Zelda 2 instead, and I thought that would help it flow a little bit more. But check him out over on YouTube. That's Isaac Salla. It's ISAC space SALE8. It's like Sal-eh. In case you're from Canada, that's spelled EH. And after that, we heard I Fight Ganon from the band I Fight Dragons. Super cool band, and I really enjoyed that. So anyways, let's get on into our discussions tonight about Ghirahim. So you guys have been a buzz and a flutter inside the chat. And let's get away our miscellaneous questions before we get into our main discussions here. Slowpoke as a gamer actually had a question. Said, how many demon lords were there under Demise? So his question was, alright, so we know Ghirahim's this demon lord, but are there more? Well, one thing we have to keep in mind is we heard something very interesting. Fire Alley kind of pointed it out. Fire Alley says, the Historia says, Ghirahim gave himself the title of Lord. Through secret and plotting and scheming, he unleashed demon hordes on the land in an attempt to find the goddess and resurrect the Demon King Demise. So, something interesting is that Ghirahim gave himself the title of Demon Lord. Demise didn't give him nothing. So, I don't think there's any more Demon Lords out there, but it's up to your interpretation. But as for me, I don't think there's any more Demon Lords. I think that Demise was just like, okay, I made a sword. That's cool stuff. I'm pretty happy with my life. And then the sword starts running around. He's like, I am the Demon Lord, and I have served you. It's like Lucius Malfoy in Harry Potter. He serves him, and he does his best. But come on, guy, come on. You're not that important to me. You need to calm down. So another thing I wanted to bring up. Some people in the chat were trying to find the differences between Fi and Ghirahim. But then we found a similarity. So Slowpoke, as a gamer, found out. He's like, wait a minute. Fi does dance. And Ghirahim dances too when reviving Demise. Theories busted, everybody. Ghirahim dances just like Fi. Anyways, moving on to how do they differ? Nibbiness says something very interesting. Ghirahim can interact with the physical world. I don't think Fi does. Or am I forgetting something? And it's a good point. We don't really see Fi do much other than just kind of float around and say, hey, look at that. Look at that. Except for one thing. She has the ability to call Scrapper. This is something that I was thinking about. I was like, how does Fi ever interact with the real world? She calls Scrapper, and I think that's something that is concrete enough to be able to say she can interact with the physical world, but I guess it's left up to your interpretation on that one this evening. But I think her ability to call Scrapper like telepathically is enough to say she has a worldly connection. But it's a very good point brought to us by Nibbiness this evening. So Yasitaru says, Fi was not made to be an observer. She was made to be an advisor. She instructs Link on how to use the sword, how best to fight enemies, and just answers any questions about anything. Ghirahim is a tool of Demise. Demise says jump, Ghirahim knows how high. So there's a big difference. Fi is an advisor. She gives you advice. She tells you where to go, what to do, and how to do it. Ghirahim is there because his purpose is to revive Demise and do whatever Demise says. I don't think if Link was like, hey Fi, I need you to go pick me up some milk from the grocery store. I think Fi would be like, no, I don't think so. I think Hylia told me to stay in my sword and tell you what to do. So, Master Link, here's the deal. Get your own milk. You have a bird. Birds can fly anywhere. Go get it yourself. I don't think Fi would be that rude. Captain Trina says, there's another difference between Fi and Ghirahim. Ghirahim is called a master sorcerer in the Hyrule Historia. He was capable of using magic and just generally getting out of doing things. And while Fi could only ever observe. So again, drawing that parallel between the interaction with the physical world. Ghirahim has his own profession. He's a master sorcerer. He has been able to make magic and do all these things, while Fi doesn't really do much magic. She does a little bit of telepathy, unless you count the ability to shoot sword beams. And that's something that I think is a property of Fi, that she has, that her presence within the Goddess Sword allows Link to be able to do sword beams, to do the Skyward Strike. That's where I should use the canon term for the move, not sword beam, Skyward Strike. So, Captain Trina also says, why is Ghirahim so bloodthirsty? It can't be just the connection with Demise, because Ganondorf never shows any interest in violence for violence sake. It's a means to achieve power for him. And Nibbiness comes with a great answer to Trina's question. Because he's a sword, which is made for violence. And there you go. I'm putting that one inside my canon right there, my head canon. So I don't know what you guys think of it, but holy smokes. Why does Ghirahim want to kill? Why does Ghirahim want to make enemies? Why does Ghirahim have a thirst for bloodshed? It's because he's a sword. He wants to kill. That's his job. Why doesn't Fi want to do that? Because she's told not to. Well, actually, Fi just wants to stab Demise a lot, I'm pretty sure. I see the chat talking about milk, so I'm glad I brought in that discussion. So now we know how they differ. But why does they differ? If they're both sword spirits, why are they so different? Bub WV comes up with a quick answer. Demise made Ghirahim to mock Hylia. To say, nice sword spirit, here's mine, it's better. How? Well, it can think for itself. It's a master sorcerer, and it wants to kill everything. What does yours do? Oh, it's a thesaurus and a travel atlas? Fantastic. What? It tells me to change my batteries? Who cares? Ghirahim can lick his tongue repeatedly. Like, how do you like that? How do you like that, Hylia? Demise is best. Look at my sword spirit for proof. An energy burst says, he seems to be a lot more independent of his sword. So is there more free will? Is the reason why they're different because he just has more free will. Maybe that they're just different people. Maybe sword spirits, just like humans, come in different personalities all the time. Fi is just like, I'm fine just doing whatever you say. But Ghirahim's like, no, I'm my own sword. I can do whatever I want. I can go here. I can go there. I can go to the Earth Temple. I can be a boss 3 times and nobody will argue because I'm freaking Ghirahim. That's a good point made by Energy Burst. Yasitaru says, the main difference, I feel, comes in from their very masters. Fi was a creation of Hylia, one who gave up her divinity to become mortal. Ghirahim is the servant and possible creation of Demise. Fi embodies the disconnected and unhuman qualities that Hylia cast off, saying that she's a goddess, she's different from the land, she is giving up herself to become mortal. So that kind of is reflected in Fi. While Ghirahim inherits Demise's lust for power and general bad guy tendencies, due to him being sealed away as the imprisoned. And we know that the sealing isn't absolute. So, hey, good theory by Yasitaru saying that it's because they reflect their creators. So, a good theory coming in from Yasitaru. Natsu says, what if Ghirahim and Fi were once one being, and they somehow got split apart and turned into different, complete opposite beings that reside in 2 different swords? And Natsu, that's a heck of a theory you got there. But it's hard to say that, because we know that Fi was created by Hylia. We know that. That's a pretty much confirmed thing. So why would Hylia create Ghirahim? Was he created in tandem? Were they once one being? Why would Hylia make anything with any sort of evil side whatsoever? Is it perhaps that they were once part of same mind and split, and that's why they have different personalities? Nibbiness goes into that theory a little bit more. Nibbiness says, Fi and Ghirahim seem like 2 parts of the same mind. One, cold and calculated. Master, I believe we need to go to Elden Volcano. And one, flamboyant and expressive. I'll make your ears bleed for whatever. I don't even know. With the sound of your own screams, blah, blah. You know, it's very much kind of something to look at. I'm sure the game designers always wanted them to seem like counterparts. In fact, I believe the historian even mentioned that they wanted to make them seem like counterparts. But is there a possible theory that we can go with, that they were once one being created by Hylia and they were split? Maybe the sword wasn't even of Demise's construction. Maybe Ghirahim gets split and he's like, yo, Hylia, okay, y'all crap. I'm just going to be honest. I'm done with you. Goodbye. And so Ghirahim walks up to Demise like, hi, I'm a sword spirit. I can be sharp, pointy. I've always wanted to be a trident. But I'll be sword if you want. And Demise is like, all right, sword you are. Whoop. There you go. Can I be called Demon Lord? No. And then he calls himself Demon Lord anyway. Ghirahim, gosh dang it. You're too free-spirited. You got to stop this. So, I have a theory that kind of goes in this. And it's that Demise... it was kind of trying to one-up Hylia, like we talked about at the start of this little section. He wanted to one-up Hylia in a way that he wanted to create a sword that serves with passion. So, Hylia is like, I'm going to make my sword, and my sword is going to do my bidding. Sword, you need to find the hero, and find Zelda, and wish for Demise's destruction. All right, Fi? And Fi's like, yes, Master Hylia, of course. And Demise is like, that's the best you can do? I'm going to make the same thing, only mine is going to be so passionate, he's going to go out there and do all these crazy things. He's not going to go wait around. He's going to do the work immediately. So I think that's the big idea that I have with that. So it kind of ties in very well to Bub's theory earlier on, so Bub WV. I don't know if that's pronounced Bub or anyways. So what happens to Ghirahim after the game is over? Slowpoke says, we know that Fi continues to exist after Skyward Sword, although she's essentially sealed in the Master Sword. My assumption is Ghirahim is in a similar state, stuck in his sword state after Lynx defeats him. For all we know, he could be related to the various swords Ganondorf's used. or even related to the Trident of Power we see Ganon use. Very good. A very good thought right there from Slowpoke. Could this be that like Ghirahim's already been seen in other games? Maybe he's part of the Trident of Power. Maybe he was retooled, or he became another form. In fact, 7X says about Ghirahim's disappearance. Once Demise turned him into a sword, I believe Ghirahim was further sealed into his solid form as the anti-Master Sword. Once Demise defeated, he and the sword are sealed. Afterwards, Demise never appears, but we do see the Trident of Power. Maybe that is Ghirahim budding into another form. So 7X, an excellent draw on the theories we saw first from Slowpoke. So very good stuff. I like the idea of the Trident of Power. It's kind of a hard one to stretch, but I like it. I like it myself. Whether or not you like it, of course, up to your interpretation. And Jack LTP says, I believe that Ghirahim did escape. He only wanted Demise back because of his power. But once he could see that Demise was defeated, he abandoned him. And that's something very interesting. We see another character in The Legend of Zelda who very much has that similar, follower attitude. And that's King Bubblen from Twilight Princess. Throughout the entire game, you whack this guy repeatedly. Kind of like how you whack Ghirahim repeatedly. You're like, bad King Bubblen. Bad. Stop stealing Colin. Leave the kid alone. And then, in the end, King Bubblen says, okay, stop this. I follow the most powerful person, and it is you. So I'm going to leave you alone. Ganondorf is not my owner, and I'm out. And I think that there's something to be said about that. I think there's conclusions to be made. So it's a cool little comparison you brought to me, Jack LTTP. But anyways, good theories tonight, everybody. We're going to have a little bit more to finish up our tonight's show. But first, how about a little bit of Hyrule Warriors music to finish off the night? How about that? All right, thank you all, as always, for tuning in to Hyrule Academy. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome on back to Hyrule Academy, everybody. It's been a wonderful evening serving for you, Master, as it were. It's been awesome. It's been a wonderful job. Wait a minute, I'm the Master. I'm the teacher in this classroom. I'm not calling you guys the Master. Darn it, you guys are the sword spirits here. I'm Demon King. You guys can be called Demon Lords, but only name yourself when I'm not looking, of course. We were just listening to Skyloft from Hyrule Warriors. I love the Hyrule Warriors soundtrack. So good. And that Skyward Sword remix, of course, a good fit for tonight's show, kind of helping us feel all pumped up as we head into the end of everything. The end of everything. Oh, gosh. Oh, no. The goddesses are flooding Hyrule. Oh, it's okay, goddesses. No need to flood the world. We're okay down here. Anyways, so what have we been discussing tonight? We've been discussing Ghirahim, this demon lord who, he names himself the Demon Lord. He wasn't really the Demon Lord, but he calls himself that. And despite his dancing similarities to Fi, he is different than Fi in that he interacts more with the physical world, seems to be this master sorcerer, and is not just an advisor, but more of his own being, his own independent free spirit. But the question is not how they differ, it's why do they differ. Is it because Demise wanted to mock Hylia, say, hey, look, I made a better sword spirit than you, suck it? No, it's because, well, actually, it could be. I'm not going to say no, it could be. In fact, I liked that theory. I'm the one who made that theory. Gosh darn it, that's what happens. Except it doesn't, or does it? Reflecting their creators is another possible theory. Maybe they're just saying, hey, look, I'm Demise. Hey, look, I'm Ghirahim. Hey, look, I'm Fi. Hey, look, I'm Hylia. They're trying to be the same thing. Maybe it's just because they have their own free will. Or maybe they were just one being at one time that split. Their two personalities got separated, like Pit and Dark Pit. Pit 2. Anyway, after the game, are they stuck forever? Stuck forever? Inside the swords? Is Ghirahim the Trident of Power? Or was he just leaving because he's just following the strongest leader? Again, all these theories can be left to your own interpretation. I had some fun tonight, though. There was some amazing theories from you all, so I just wanted to thank you, as always, for coming in and giving me all these great things to think about as we head out tonight. But a reminder, before we go, to tune in next week, Friday at 10 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, for our next topic of discussion, which is Impa of Ocarina of Time. We've talked about Impa from Skyward Sword, but I think we need to give our our Sheikah Sage a little bit of attention. So next week, talking about Impa of Ocarina of Time. So be sure to tune in for that. If you want to keep supporting Radio Hyrule, of course, go on over to radiohyrule.com/donate. Throw a few rupees on into the big wallet. Help out our station. We have some cool things coming, and I can't wait to start talking about them. But I can't talk about them yet. I'm not at liberty. But hopefully you guys throw some rupees in there, and maybe it'll make it possible. Email me over at mc@supermcgamer.com with any requests and discussions that you may have. All right? So go ahead and do that. Lastly, thank you as always for joining me. It's a wonderful time on the show, and it's one of the things I love doing. I just love being able to come here and talk with all you, and it's been fun. To finish off tonight's show, I got Ghirahim's theme dubstep for you from DJ Joe. I saved it for the end of the show because I know some of you guys ain't into the dubstep. But keep it locked to Radio Hyrule. Keep enjoying the tunes. And there won't be any dubstep after this, I promise, except maybe there will be. I love some dubstep. I'll admit it. I like it. Anyways, thanks for tuning on into Hyrule Academy right here on Radio Hyrule. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.